Hey everybody! Steam Early Access, home to a wide mix of good and bad indie titles, just saw the release of Parkasaurus on September 25th, 2018 by Washbear Studio, and it's quite the release. Described as a zany dinosaur park management game, Parkasaurus places just as much emphasis on pumping up park sales and reviews as it does on crafting the perfect environments for your new friends. Or children, if you want to see it that way. The release I'm playing here is the .512 alpha build, but it really doesn't feel like it. Alpha builds are usually barely playable, extremely shallow versions of the games that they will eventually become, but Parkasaurus has hit Steam with an incredibly solid first presence. The basic premise here is exactly as you would expect it to be. Build a park. You must build enclosures suitable for your dinos, and paths and amenities suitable for your guests, harmonizing the both of them. And if we're going to jump right into game mechanics, one of my favorite ways the Parkasaurus balances the twin elements here is with the privacy mechanic. Your guests want to see your dinos, and your dinos want to be seen, but they don't want to be seen all the time. Over time, your dinos will begin to feel a lack of privacy, and will move away from visible areas in order to recover. If you build an enclosure completely surrounded by paths, with just the basic wooden fence, your dinos won't be able to get away, so you have to be creative with where you want your viewing areas to be, depending on the size of the enclosure and the layout of your park. To aid in these tasks, there are a variety of fence types with differing visibilities, as well as patches of tall grass you can add to provide private spaces away from prying eyes. And then later on you can buy shelters, which greatly accelerate the recovery process. This is a neat mechanic that I really like, because it encourages careful layout planning, and it makes the dinosaurs feel a little bit more organic. In addition to this, building the enclosure itself is a little more unique than it is in the usual park builder game. Starting from the top, each dinosaur has a specific terrain and associated biome that it likes. Of the three types of terrain, being grass, sand, and mud, each one in turn has three separate biomes that it can form, depending on how flat or rugged it is, manipulated by your elevation tool, and how dry or wet it is, manipulated by adding water. I should hope I don't have to tell anyone that that's how you make dry things wet, but you know. Once you've created the correct biome, you then have to add trees, bushes, and rocks, your basic scenery items that, in most park builders, would just tack on a certain amount of happiness points each. In Parkasaurus, however, each biome has its own ratio of trees, bushes, and rocks required to provide enough biodiversity to make an enclosure the best it can be. I like this because, again, it imbues the park with a little bit more life, but it also provides a mechanical service to the player by letting you know when you've placed enough trees, freeing you to move on and improve the enclosure in different ways. The game doesn't remind you to place food or a door, though. That's sort of important. A happy enclosure is, of course, a happy dino. But what makes a happy guest? Guests come to your park to see your dinosaurs, and pay a ticket price to get in. Parkasaurus defaults this to $5 when you start a new game, but the nicer your park is and the more dinos you have, the more they'll pay. This isn't, however, your primary source of income. Instead, the happier you make a guest while they're inside your park, the more they'll want to donate. You influence a guest's happiness by, of course, supplying them with dinos to look at, especially their favorite dinos, as well as providing food, activities, and decoration. This is why it's important to lay out your park nicely, hopefully a little bit better than mine. Fun, well-decorated, and clean parks inspire the most donations, so you can't just scam for ticket prices or food sales the way you might in Roller Coaster Tycoon or similar games. You can check how well you're doing with the summary screen at the end of a day, which provides you with a handy-dandy chart of your finances, the technology points you've earned, and what people think of your park, complete with amusing fake reviews that are all pretty appropriate. That said, I don't think my layout is that bad for a first go, but I can't seem to get a review rating higher than 3 stars. I'm hoping this is one of those early access oddities and I don't just suck. The game seems weighted to giving you reviews mostly about the positive things you're doing. Good, visible dinosaurs, clean park, etc., but not about the negatives, in my case, probably poor decorations and few activities. With no way to know for sure that that's the problem, however, getting that rating to go up is mostly guesswork, and I'm bad at guessing. The game also lacks sufficient help in the park view for which parts of your park are doing well, and which need more love. Helpful heat maps are provided for water and privacy, which covers your dino's needs, but there's nothing right now for things like decoration, fun, or cleanliness for your guests. You can check donations directly from the donation boxes to sleuth out which areas are getting the most traffic, but it's more work than it should be. That said, it's not a pressing enough issue to really get in the way of the sandbox play right now. You're going to be making plenty of money without micromanaging all that much, but once scenarios hit, I think a little bit more information is going to be vital. How is the sandbox play, by the way? Well, it's satisfying, actually. Parkasaurus starts you off right with a tutorial that shows you the basics and rewards you with a very satisfying good job when you accomplish your task, so that once it lets you loose, you're well equipped to keep going. Remember, this is an alpha, so I was just about expecting no tutorial at all. Furthermore, the game lets you know you're progressing by ranking your park in tiers, and even provides semi-random quests, usually linked to buildings that you've just put up. There aren't very many of these, or at least I stopped getting them, but it's promising for keeping sandbox mode interesting in the full game. But even putting all that aside, unlocking dinosaurs is what's really going to keep you going, if you're anything like me. Filling the park with dinos of all kinds is my primary goal, so unlocking new ones, building enclosures for them, and collecting the resources necessary so that I can put that egg down in its home is what drives me. The process to acquire a new dino is neither too long as to be boring, nor too short as to become unsatisfying. It's spaced well, and comes packaged with another of my favorite things: digging. This minigame isn't very well explained, the game only telling you to be careful, so I'll give a quick rundown. Fossils and footprints are buried under layers of grass and dirt, arranged battleship-like in this grid. Your scientists uncover one layer at a time, in the tile arrangement specific to the particular scientist. The more scientists you have, the more you can uncover in a session. When you fully uncover the 4 tiles of a fossil or a footprint, you take it off the board, and it can be used to make a dino egg. However, if you fail to fully uncover the fossil, and instead click again over an exposed tile, you destroy the fossil and move another layer deep instead. That's what they mean by be careful. Combine this with the different shapes your scientists provide, and it's a neat little minigame that isn't too challenging. There's no real penalty for not doing your best either, just a little bit more waiting for another expedition to launch. That said, while I like it, I can understand how it might get a little old, especially on a very long file. A technology unlock or some sort of perk that allowed this to be skipped for a lower payout of fossils and footprints would be a welcome addition. I brought up scientists, so I might as well mention the rest of the staff, but there's not really much to talk about here. It works just the same as any other game, albeit a little bit clunkier. With the game the way it is now, you have to assign scientists manually to their positions, or they'll wander around uselessly forever. This includes if their previous position was destroyed, because they won't automatically go back to it once it's repaired. It also sometimes won't be repaired, but this is really a minor bug, and all it amounts to is deleting the item and placing another. But hold on. Destroyed? Oh yeah, destroyed. What kind of dinosaur game would this be if they couldn't get loose? Even the happiest dinos will attack the sides of their enclosure sometimes. If they don't have anything else to play with, they'll attack it more often. And if you don't have enough janitors running around repairing fences, they'll get loose and run amok inside your park, destroying any buildings they touch and tossing humans around like ragdolls. Oh boy! This is a promising little peek at the future more than anything. It's exciting for a moment, but it doesn't affect your rating or finances very much, and a dinosaur can be taken down pretty easily by a security guard. As it stands right now, this is for the better, because you also don't get an alert that a dinosaur has broken loose until something has already been destroyed. But what I think is interesting about this is every dinosaur has its own individual aggression rating. There are also hints at a breeding system in the works. What this potentially means is you could breed dinosaurs to gradually be less and less aggressive over generations, or more aggressive if that's what you're into. This could also make for some very fun scenarios in the future, trying to run a successful park where the main attraction is a highly aggressive T-Rex, for instance. This is a neat mechanic for a game like this, and even though it's not in the game right now, it is very exciting. Overall, this whole game seems really promising, and even right now, it's a super chill, relaxing game to just sit down and play around with for a few hours. It's satisfying just to build up a park, and I'm thinking I might even start a new park just to try a different, more effective layout. You can put down food trucks that buff donations for certain dinosaurs, so I might try to use that to its full extent next time. I'm honestly pretty excited just to try new things. That said, while I really enjoy the game as it is in early access. You're likely to run out of things to do within about 10 hours, and there's no guarantee that it will progress beyond this point. While I certainly feel like it was worth my $20 just to play it and encourage the studio, you might feel differently. Something I think was worth pointing out is that Washbear Studio is a 2-person team, and for a 2-person team to make a game like this is super impressive. We all know what a disappointment Jurassic World Evolution was, after all. I'm excited to see this game finished, even if it might take a long time, and with this price point, I think it's a solid investment. But tell me what you think. And hey, if you like this video, tell me that too. I probably wouldn't have made this video if my review of Graveyard Keeper hadn't done so well, so if reviews like this are what you want, make it known. Thanks everyone for watching. and happy gaming! Oh, hey, Washbear? Can we zoom out a little bit more, please? I'd like to be able to see my whole park, and if you could maybe make the UI smaller for high resolutions too, that'd be really great. Okay, thanks. Bye!